not a good thing. That's not a good thing. God, sorry about
Chicken.
that. Yeah, big time. Nobody to control anything. All set, Bob? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting of February 26, 2019. Roll call, please.
5 selectmen present this evening.
Mrs. Burr, would you like to lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Announcements.
Tony, anything?
No, sir.
Mary?
No, sir.
Peter?
Suppose it's never too early to start saying that we have a town meeting coming up the fourth Monday in April, and we have a town election coming up the first Tuesday in April.
All set? Patrick?
Register to vote,
Yeah,
if you're not already.
I have one from the American Legion Post 220. A corned beef and cabbage dinner will be held at Wareham, American Legion Post 220, 777 Main Street, West Wareham, on March 16th at 5:30 p.m. The dinner is $14. Reservations are required and can be made by calling Joe at 508-995-4481. That's 508-995-4481. That's all I have.
Couple more.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, on Friday, March 15th at the Stone Bridge, I'm not sure when it starts, but our very own celebrity bartender, Selectman Mary Bruce, and also Jesse Pitts will be the celebrity bartenders pouring to raise money for the OBA. What time does that start?
7, I believe.
7 o'clock, so come down and, what's the word they use for pouring skills? It's like a special, like, highfalutin term. I forget what it is. They're mixology. Come down and check out these mixologists at the Stone Bridge at 7 o'clock on March 15th. On a more somber note, George Dekas, who was a longtime resident of the town, an attorney, served as town council for the town of Middleborough for decades, was instrumental in the Wareham Historic Society's renovation of the Kendrick House, yeah. Kendrick House, was very active in town government, very active in the Plymouth County Bar Association, and everything else, passed away recently. And, you know, our condolences go out to his brothers, John and Billy. So I'd like to have a moment of silence for George. Thank you.
All set?
Citizens' participation.
Okay. Yeah. I think also on March 9th, I believe the OBA is doing a chili contest, and that's at the Stone Path over at the industrial park where the brewery is there for the malt. And there was one other thing. I think we'll let it go for now.
Okay.
Citizens'
Participation.
comments, anyone? Okay. Last piece will be any board comments from anything going on. Tony?
No.
Mary?
Nope.
Peter?
No.
Patrick? Just a reminder to everybody, the Community Events Committee is taking applications for help in putting on events by providing some funding and stuff. So if you can, please put your applications in. They've been taken for the last month now. That's it.
Okay, there are no appointments, reappointments, interviews, there's no license and permits. We go to discussion to vote on recommendation of warrant articles.
Okay, I'd like to basically have Mr. Buckland come up, since he's already worked a long day, and go through the zoning articles. Ken, I'm going to ask you also, we have a citizens petition article. You're not prepared, so you may not be able to answer, but the article talks about notification of projects, I think, along the water with distances, as far as what, triggers, who you have to notify. So if you look at it, if you don't have the information, if you can give us some kickback.
What
Next-
article
at the
number is that
meeting.
in the warrant?
You have a copy of the warrant somewhere, I hope?
It will be,
It's like 22,
I
23.
think it's either
It's gonna be
22 or
21,
23.
22 or
It'll be right
23.
there.
I think it's 21 or 22.
It's not 22, it's gotta be 21 or
It's
20.
22.
The one on the grant,
Yes.
22, no,
21.
it can't be 22.
21.
But
Yeah.
Just by way of information, I actually talked about
22
this
is-
with the harbor master when I saw that this article had been filed by the petitioners. He's got a similar set of regulations that he's drafted that's actually, he's submitted to the State Department of Marine Fisheries to see whether, they'll sign off on it, that I think would provide notice, although perhaps not as extensive as this. So I don't know. The petitioners aren't here for this one,
The petitioners actually sent a note and they're not going to come.
to this meeting or any subsequent meeting?
Well, they seem to say that they weren't coming.
Okay.
No, that's too bad.
That was the response.
So I don't know that
I just want to make,
Director Buckland would have anything to add to that.
I just want to make sure that what's put in there is, viable, whether it's a positive or negative effect overall, and whether it's actually legal.
Well, yeah.
He's not prepared. It's
No,
okay.
that's why I'm letting you ahead of time.
We got it.
We should, if you can, provide us with some information for next week.
Well, he's got a lot of initials after his name, but the ESQ isn't one of them, so this really should go to town council for any questions as to legality. And I think this actually crosses into areas that we don't pay him to do. I think it's up to the harbor master and town council to advise us on this one, not him.
I understand, but again, he's unfortunately
In front of you right now.
in charge of conservation, planning, and ZBA. He answers to all those three committees, and this will fall.
Yeah, none of which have any role in shellfish grant permitting,
This is not the right agenda.
But it has to do with notification.
but they don't get notified.
If you have,
I'll look into it and add my 2 cents if I can help.
yeah, because without having town council here, I want to make sure we don't do something right or wrong, basically.
But we're not going to do anything on it tonight anyway.
No, but it was there, so I just want to bring it up.
That's the grant.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Sorry.
All right,
Yeah, because
there
we
are
rearranged them, so yes.
two articles in the warrant that we submitted. One is Article 11, front yard storage. This is basically because of the tenant, or the preset of zoning, that if it isn't specifically mentioned or listed in the zoning regulations, the judge isn't going to abide by it. So you can't say, I want to make things look nice. You have to say how you want to make it look nice. And in this case, it's front yard storage of derelict equipment. And adding to that is the idea that you have marine equipment that may be derelict as well too, maybe junk in the storage in the front yard, so that becomes part of this article. This is something that the building commissioner has been looking for a while. This was up before town meeting last time around, and it was taken back for additional changes. We modified it somewhat in this proposal from what it was previously developed in the article for town meeting. And we think it's an important one to carry through. And we need a 2/3 vote on all zoning articles, by the way, as you know.
For now. The state's looking at making a change to a simple majority, but it's not in place yet. It's coming, it looks like. Tony, any questions? Mary?
I think this is long overdue, so, no questions, nope.
Peter?
No, it is overdue, and it's regrettable it didn't already pass, because we just had somebody come in before the meeting and complain about a property, and we basically had to tell them our hands are tied as far as effectively trying to clean that property up until this passes.
Patrick?
Okay, does it take into account that if it's on a corner, that there's two front yards?
Actually, our regulations specify that
If you're on two
Don't-
streets,
if you're on 2 streets, you have more frontage than anybody else, but your frontage is only counted on 1 street under our bylaw.
so hypothetically, if they were on a corner, which a lot of these guys are, by the way, just so you know, they could just simply take them off the front where the house is numbered and put them on the side.
No, they couldn't because it would still be exposed to the public.
Is that what it says? What does the bylaw say? I'm asking. Does it say that it can't be exposed, that it has to be screened?
Yeah, there's a fence.
Outdoor storage includes any type of materials, materials that shall be concealed from public view. So it does specify public view, not the frontage as the
Okay,
deciding factor.
so they
of
could
whether
put it
or
in the
not junk.
side yard as long as they screened it,
Right,
even though, so they don't have two front yards. You're saying, technically speaking, if you have frontage on two streets, you have two front yards.
right. And all of that is within the public view, and even the side yard would be in the public view.
Correct.
So that would have to be screened or removed.
Okay,
as
I'm just
material.
checking to see, because like I say, I know of a few of these
loophole.
places, and they happen to be right on the corners.
Yeah, that's a loophole.
And I just don't want to have a loophole that they can say, well, I only, yeah, exactly, you know what I'm saying? Because, the places we're talking about are not the average home. These are places that are derelict places that are in deplorable condition and look like, they just make people's properties look terrible and bring down all their values. And this isn't good. And it's time to really get after them, so that's
You
good.
have some pictures that you wanted to
I
submit.
have some pictures that somebody dropped off tonight that show one of the properties in question.
Yeah.
And it's really not pretty. It's not a pretty scene.
You can have these if you want, Ken.
Can I
You-
take over?
You can present this,
Yeah, sure.
you
Go
can
ahead.
present this
Go
at
ahead.
town meeting if you'd like.
Thank you.
We'll scan them in and,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not a pretty picture. And you can imagine if you're living right next to that mess, and not only the mess, but the traffic that results of it, because, stuff goes on and off, and it's basically a business, when you get into that particular position. And that's just not good for the community as a whole,
Yeah, we have more than a few of these.
especially for
Well, one of-
people who are living next to somebody.
one of the things we want to do is protect legitimate businesses from this. And so if there is a business certificate that allows them to
Yes,
sell used equipment or whatever, then that's fine. What we don't want is junk.
right.
Stored in
Legitimate
photos.
businesses go for site plan review, and they'll screen, they'll have stuff. They do the right thing. If you're gonna open a business, you gotta have site plan review, and that's how they catch that stuff. But residents that are doing this kind of thing don't have site plan review. They never went to anybody. They just started loading the trash onto their property, whatever it is. Okay, thank you, sorry.
No problem. Just my quick comment is this will be the third time for this to actually get to town meeting, and hopefully this will be done. Our building commissioner has been pushing this hard because we've been unable to enforce certain rules because this has not been in place, so I'm hoping this goes through. I'll ask a motion for a favorable action on this one.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you.
It's time to clean up our act, Wareham.
The next article is Article 12 on temporary signs. This is a section of the sign section of the zoning bylaw that specifies how political signs and temporary signs for events, any kind of event, can be presented. And what we're doing is we're saying you can't put it onto public property, you can put it on private property if you have the acceptance for it. And it can only be there for a certain period of time after the
Election.
event. And the idea that what wasn't clear before was that there was a time frame that you expect that somebody wants to advertise an event and have the event, and then maybe say thank you for the results of the event. And in each case, there may be a purpose for having the sign up for that period of time.
Any questions from the board? Tony? Mary?
Nope.
Peter? Patrick?
When we voted these originally, and we used to vote for them to put up signs and stuff, we used to give them 24 hours to take them down. Remember, we used to actually include it in the motion.
Yep.
And maybe we ought to keep doing that. Maybe
We
ought to
do
put
it
that back
anyways,
in.
but this covers most
I
of
know
it.
this will cover the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
The problem you have, of course, is one issue with political signs. And the issue with that is that you have to be careful how you handle somebody's free speech when it comes to elections. So you have to be a little careful about that.
It's in the,
I make a point of violating the the local bylaw on political signs deliberately, because I believe it's unconstitutional.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think,
we actually, that's one of the reasons of the changes you have here, is to take into effect what you can't do,
right.
if we were doing.
There was a Supreme Court case, a U.S. Supreme Court case.
I'm sure there was.
Find what the, what's allowed by, what you can control. And you can't be content-specific about the control. It's,
Right.
And this sign.
Time,
bylaw-
place, and manner to some extent, but even that can't, you have to take the time, place, and manner restrictions in the context of how people are gonna see the sign and everything else. You can't say you can leave a sign up all year long, but it's 6 inches by 6 inches, for example, because nobody would ever see the thing.
yeah, and you can't say that a church could do one kind of sign and a politician could do another kind of sign.
Right,
It's got to be
consistent.
consistent across whatever
You
content
know,
is in the
in
sign.
Wayland, Massachusetts, I went by a sign over there when Trump was running for election, and down a hill, there was a big sign in this guy's front yard, and it literally hit his house, that's how big it was. And the town, Wayland, they went right after him to take the sign down, because it's too big, violated all the regulations. He
Yeah.
beat him,
Can't do that.
can't tell him to take it down. After the election, you can, there's certain time periods have been allowed. But as far as putting the sign up during the election cycle, there's not much you can do.
Okay,
All right.
I'll ask for a motion for favorable action for this
So
item.
moved.
Second.
Well, we can call it whatever we want. I don't
What?
care.
What?
Favorable action.
Yeah,
Motion to recommend?
motion to recommend,
Whatever you
yes.
guys would like. Just make sure the finance committee does the same thing.
We have been doing recommend lately, so.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstained? 500. Number 3.
I do want to warn you that the wording in the warrant that was published will probably be changed after the public hearing they were scheduling
For this one?
for this one, because the public hearing isn't scheduled until March 11th.
Well, I think that happens anyway. I think we're allowed to do some changes relevant to a public hearing, right? Aren't we right? Isn't that right, Mr. Moderator? Let her respond anyway.
You are allowed to make minor changes, but not major changes. Any major changes would require a second hearing.
Okay.
One of the things that we have talked about, and I don't know if Ken is aware yet, that I'm sort of putting my foot down when it comes to motions as being printed in the handout, that we'll go back to the old ways of doing it, that the motion will be pretty much what's in the warrant, but that anything added to it would be an amendment. So you'd have to come in with, rather than a handout, because at our last town meeting, it got so confusing that we had so many handouts, people didn't have them, or they were different. So we're gonna go back to the old way of doing it, that if there's any changes, it would be made as an amendment.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good,
thank you.
good process.
There we go.
Okay, next.
I think that's it.
State mandate real estate
Wasn't
and
there three?
personal property revaluation, that's nothing to do with you.
No?
Oh, you dropped one then.
No, but those are the two that you had
Only two
entered
we
into
put
the
on.
warrant.
Okay.
Right, we only put those two on because there was one about a pre-site plan review that we didn't put on, and then there
What about the
was
solar?
Solar bylaw.
solar we had held off on.
Because
Okay,
we thought
so-
that needed work.
Okay, so the solar bylaw was held off.
Yes, it was.
Okay, good. That's the one I was concerned about. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
What else do we have?
Well, you want to keep going through some of these, or do you want to bring up the
No, let's go,
petitioners?
the only petitioner
Only one.
here is Mrs. Slavin. Why don't you come up?
Might as well get her done so she doesn't have to hang around. That would be Article 23,
So I'm sleeping in the garage tonight.
inclusion of town meeting warrant.
Yeah, that's fine.
You don't want to do CPC?
We can do CPC too, yeah, sure.
Start with,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you want to do that, why not? Although I thought we already discussed that with you at some
I
point.
don't think you've voted on it.
Okay. Yeah, we can,
know what those are about.
Oh, Sandy Slavin, co-chair of CPC for these two articles.
all right, so we can vote to put these on if you want. The funds reserved, CPC fund reserve,
Oh, I thought
I
it was
move
20.
to recommend.
Second.
That's Article 18.
Motion by
Oh,
Patrick,
CPC
second by
first.
Peter. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
It's a standard housekeeping article for those who
500, yep.
Okay,
May not have it
Article
in front of them.
19, CPC Anderson Field, Field Track Resurfacing. I move we
recommend.
recommend.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
And that's the, those are the two CPC, right?
Okay. And now I'm Sandy Slavin.
Sandy Slavin, Sandy Slavin.
Sandy Slavin, citizen.
Not attached to any committee for this particular article.
Okay, number 23.
You want to explain what your article is?
The article was an attempt to have all of the Community Preservation Committee articles automatically placed on the warrant and not subject to the selectmen denying the placement of the articles, because then what it does is that the people at town meeting are the ones that vote whether or not to spend CPA funds, and if the selectmen don't put the don't put the articles on the warrant, then the general public doesn't have a chance to vote yea or nay. And 3 years in a row, the selectmen, majority of the selectmen have voted to deny an article for affordable housing at Agawam, and I felt it was not fair to the voters to have a chance to say yea or nay, or the selectmen to say why they were against it. And it was a chance, 2016, we could have had 4 units in, and we could have had 4 people in their homes. But that 2016, you did not put it on the warrant. You did not put it on the warrant in 2017. In 2018, you didn't put it on the warrant because it was a citizen's article for the same project. I mean, we could have given our people a chance to live.
Article, remember? They had to withdraw it or something at town meeting.
Yeah, there was a problem with the
With the
citizen's
article, yeah.
article that was submitted, and it had to be withdrawn.
But the other two
means-
were legitimate, so. you're right.
But the CPA article, if it had stayed on, as opposed to saving a page in the warrant, which was the reason why it wasn't put on, it could very well have been passed, even though the citizens' article was found faulty. But, I mean, we're not giving a chance to have the voters who pay their CPA taxes a chance to say how they're spent, because a majority of the selectmen can deny them that. And this article was an attempt to make sure that all the CPA articles got placed on the warrant. Now, I went looking for a current charter. All I found was 2016. I couldn't find a current charter which included what was voted on in the 2017 town meeting. Mr. Teitelbaum was kind enough to send me what the state had approved, even though it never showed up on our town charter. And it was very confusing. This change at town meeting said section 2.4, subsection C. Going on the 2016 charter, it would have been 2.4 subsection B that was being changed. So we have a charter change approved by the state for a section that didn't exist as it was written. That was very confusing, so I found, sorry, Peter?
No.
I don't think we're in a position to comment on that.
I'm just letting you know why, when I put my article in, I placed it on what was approved at town meeting, which was section 2.4, subsection C, and that's what I submitted in my citizens article, only to realize it should have been subsection B. So, I mean, that's why if you take a look at this, it is faulty because it referenced a section that was never published in any document available to the citizens on our website. I'm sorry, Peter, what, there was another comment?
No, I'm just not sure what you're talking about, but I'll try to figure it out.
Well, in another article pending, you're going to remove section 2.4 subsection B in total. That was placing articles on the warrant and the time frame to, when you're changing your time frame in this pending, what number was it? Making the date, the vote after, election after town meeting?
The discussion on this previous thing at town meeting has really nothing directly as far as your petition
Oh,
article.
yes, it does, because in it, it says completely delete section 24B and remove 24C. And my article is to modify 24C, which was
Removed.
which could be removed. This is, so it was confusing that we had no current town charter. What was approved at town meeting in 2017 didn't match town charter for the section, so it was very confusing, which is why you'll find that this charter change could very well be no longer valid if Article 15 is passed. Did that make sense? I mean, Article 15 does away with this whole section that I'm asking to be changed.
It doesn't matter. What you're trying to do is bypass the current piece of, current article we have in place in our charter that says the Board of Selectmen basically can either approve or not approve stuff going on to the town meeting warrant.
Yes, I want.
That's what your article's about.
My article is to bypass
If you
that.
have an issue with the other stuff, that's a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with this discussion right now. Because if the other thing gets thrown out, say, a year from now, then the selectmen don't have that particular authority.
Even if that article,
But it doesn't matter to you.
sorry, even if that article, dear, thank you.
He's being nice.
I'll be sleeping somewhere else tonight, just so everybody knows.
Even if this, even if 15 fails, this article,
This article is strictly to go ahead and change what we have to allow one group, which is the CPC articles, to bypass what the selectmen have for any other article comes before them. I think that's an issue in itself, which I don't think is actually, would stand up legally as well, because you're cherry picking one piece out of the whole thing. So if this other piece that got passed gets thrown out, then
most
we'll
towns,
deal with it.
most towns automatically add the CPA articles to their town meetings.
Wareham is not most towns
No,
right now.
I know that. But what I'm saying is that this is talking about subsection C.
Understand, but
C is not it. It should have been B.
it doesn't
Does
matter.
that make sense?
No, I know what you're saying, but the bottom line is this is something that's a whole different thing. You'd have to go before the Attorney General and say this was done wrong and make a complaint about it. Because right now it's in effect because it was approved by them as it is. It's their job.
Right now, our charter doesn't reflect what is been approved by the town meeting and by the state, so our charter is outdated.
No, you mean the
which
charter's,
makes-
charter's not updated, is what you're saying.
Yes, which makes it hard for people to look at the charter to make a charter change.
Well,
Could I just clarify
I do know
one thing?
I do know one thing about that. The thing didn't come back. It was approved, but it didn't come back, so the clerk wouldn't have updated it.
We didn't get
until she gets it in her
notification.
hand. So that's probably why.
That's exactly why.
But who's supposed to keep track of that? And that's another topic.
Clerk.
Who's,
Yeah,
We're going off topic
I
again?
said, but that's another topic.
Thank you.
I think she's advocated for her.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
I have no
so
questions at this
but-
time.
Keep in mind that even though we point, in fact, that the article, the charter change for that we just discussion wasn't approved until March 8th, 2018. So it's been around for a long time, but it was just disappointing that I couldn't find the current charter with everything that we had approved at town meeting reflected in it. So that's it, I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Enjoy the chair.
Right, so I move we don't recommend Article 23.
Do we have a second?
Article 20, okay, second.
Any discussion from the board? Okay. Just make a comment that, obviously, usually I would abstain for family, but this time I'm not, because I don't feel that we should be taking one particular, section of how we do business and say this one is special, and we bypass all of it, and then the other ones, we still have a say in it. It's either A or B. It can't be A and a half, and B and a half, so that's my comment.
Well, what I'm thinking is too, is, we've had a lot of people who don't like what we do sometimes. And what they do is try to change things and round it.
Well,
And
this-
it isn't just this, it's been other stuff
We've
along
had
the
other
way.
ones too.
And, by and large, that hasn't worked out very well. when that happens. And, you know, it's always, from the inception of the original charter, they tried to take power away from the selectmen. And they're always trying to take power away from the selectmen. But the selectmen are there, actually, you know, when they take it away and they do it in another method, then they have no say at all. Now they have say because they can just simply not reelect us. And that gives them say in what's going on. So this is not for any reason other than I think that we should hold on to what we do. I think it's worked pretty well, and I think we should continue to do it.
Well, we had the issue with the housing and stuff the last time around, and we had an article from CPC, and then we had an article as a citizen's petition.
Yes, we had two.
And the article from citizen's petition was defective, et cetera.
Right.
But that article was an end around, in simple English.
Yeah.
So I'm just, you know, what's going to happen is you'll end up with people coming in with citizens petition articles to get around whatever exists they don't like for themselves in a small personal area. So someone gets represented, and a
Yeah,
whole bunch
you
of people
get
don't
little
get
punchy
represented.
government, you get,
And then you have no government when you're done.
right.
So, any other questions or any comments? All those in favor
It's saying no,
of saying
Same.
Not recommend.
not recommending?
Aye.
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 Patrick?
Aye,
Alan is aye also. 500 not to recommend.
all right. All right, you want to go back to some of these other ones?
You got a bed for me?
Yeah, we can go right down the list, right?
All right, how about, we do,
Elect officers?
I'll do these, we can do these just in a bunch though, right? Let's do 1, 2,
Read each one off,
3,
so
4.
everybody
I'll
knows.
tell you what they are. Election of officers, recurring business, compensation of certain appointed or election officials, FY revolving funds, we have that. We got the list of revolving funds. Occasional reports, we can do that. We can't do capital, we can't do the budget. We can't do EMS because, of course, that's part of the budget. Upper Cape, I don't think we've got numbers from them.
We haven't got the numbers
Done
yet.
yet. Water pollution control, we wouldn't do that. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Okay?
Need
So
a
1 through 5, I move we recommend.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay.
What else we got?
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna go. All right, so we can't do that, we can't do that. All right, state mandated real estate, Article 13. I move we recommend that. That's in order
Second.
to pay for the reval.
Which we
Motion
have to
by
do.
Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Next is 14, one that we put on, delete the Charter Review Committee. Move favorable action.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, recommend. I don't know why I did that.
Discussed this a lot. No,
Hmm?
I
Yeah.
think we've discussed this a lot.
This is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Town meeting process,
We have
that's
to
the one
vote.
we also
haven't
put on.
voted. We haven't voted yet.
We didn't vote.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to abstain on this one, which is like a no, but since I chaired the committee before, I have some guilt
You gonna
feelings.
abstain?
Yeah. 401.
I'm glad you have a conscience.
Yes, I do.
We all have memories.
Yes, I know.
Next would be town meeting process. I move, we recommend.
Motion by
Second.
Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay. Now, we got union contracts, but we don't have that.
Now
so
Derek's
we're-
working on those now. We will
Uh,
have some, though.
Littleton Drive, are we ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the concern you had raised earlier regarding you don't want to see lease agreements, but once again, the selectmen can specify that in the conveyance to the
Okay, as long
redevelopment
as
authority.
It's done, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I move, we recommend Article 17.
Second.
Motion by Peter. Actually, I think Tony should second that.
Oh,
We
all
have,
right.
we have two members on the
Yeah, we'll set
redevelopment
aside on
authority
this one.
board. You probably both should abstain.
Abstain, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Yes.
302.
We'll
All
have
right.
to put the reason for the abstentions in
Yes, we can.
the handout as well.
Okay, receipt for reserve for appropriation sales of lots and graves. I move we recommend that as well.
Second.
Do you want to speak to it at all, Kathy, or are you all set?
Are you all set?
We're all set. Okay, motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay, the next are the two petition articles. Now, are we
They
gonna,
go- go ahead.
either one of them coming in? Is the guy coming in?
Yes, the GF is coming in on the
Okay,
sewer
so we'll
hookup
skip
next
that
week.
one.
And again.
The
maybe
agricultural
woman-
people are not coming in.
Well, we can send a note again. She sent a note, she couldn't come today and didn't seem to say if she was gonna come
Well,
at all.
let's try it again then. Let's see what happens.
But we'll
Yeah,
see.
we wanna
I'd
give
like
them
to hear
an
from
opportunity.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep after it. But,
Yeah, I'd rather hear from them than
Initial
not hear from
response
them.
was like, we're not coming.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is talk about the special, because we opened it up, as you well know. And, you know, we've got to, you know, the clerk, not the clerk, I'm sorry, the moderator is finding some frustration with the speed in which we get these things done and accomplished.
Well, we have them scheduled, just so you know, for the 12th
Okay?
and the 19th for the special
Is
town
that
meeting
gonna get
articles.
us to where we need to be?
Yes, because we closed the warrant on the 19th for the
Okay.
special,
All right,
so that we'll basically have the 12th to review the articles,
okay.
and we'll have the 19th. I don't think we physically have anything in yet.
We haven't put anything on yet, but
We
we do
haven't,
have a
and nobody
couple
else-
that we
and
know
nobody
of
else
that are
has
gonna
either.
go on.
Yeah, for example, the semi-annual payment to WCTV has to be on there.
Yeah, that
Yes.
has to be on, yeah.
So what we should probably do is review last spring's special and pick off the ones that,
Well, the town administrator will have some that are adjustments,
right.
financial
Well,
things.
let's try to do and be a little more proactive in getting these things done quicker so that it'll make Madam Moderator a little happier.
I've already, just so you know, I've already spoke
I
to,
like to see her smile.
I spoke
Just
to,
so you know, she basically came up with all the motions already for the regular town meeting. It
Yeah.
was kind of frightening last week when I walked in and saw the PowerPoint.
Good news.
Yeah. Once upon a time, the Finance Committee used to write those,
When I was on the Finance Committee for a lot of years, I did them, yes.
but
okay.
Go ahead.
No, just, like I say, I've kept after the dates and stuff, so I've already put everything in place.
Okay, great.
We've already
All
sent notices out to everybody to
Then that's fine with
get
me.
the articles in.
If you're on top
Again.
of it, that's great.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, discussion with lead petitioner, we did that. Request to place a memorial bench on the pier.
You've got that
I
there.
got that right here. Okay, so this is, please see below. Jana Allison is requesting a bench on Onset Pier. I have emailed Gary and he has agreed.
Yep.
I am not too sure if the selectmen still need to approve at meeting. Please let me know.
Yes.
I think we do.
I think we do, I know we do. So,
Municipal maintenance has approved it also as far as the,
all right,
the
so it's a
bench, et
gray
cetera.
slate, black framed, 6-foot recycled plastic slate bench with 4-inch by 6-inch zinc plaque installed at time of manufacturing.
Yep.
All right, so you all set with this?
Yep, need a
All right,
motion.
I move we approve the bench, placing of the bench.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Awesome, that's very nice.
Donation next.
Next up is a $5,000 donation. Alan, you'll have to sign this. From Margaret Price, 33 Red Pine Drive, Carlson, Mass. Dear Ms. Price, on behalf of the town of Wareham, we are pleased to accept a $100 donation to the Wareham Free Library.
Okay.
Move we approve.
There's two of them,
There's two of them
actually.
here.
Oh, is there two?
The 5K from
Well,
the
one at-
Friends.
One at a
Oh,
time.
yeah,
We'll
that's
do the
the-
first
Oh,
one.
that's the big one.
That's the big one. Don't
Let's
miss the
accept
big one.
big one.
All right, we have a
Priscilla
mo-
Porter, Friends of the Library, on behalf of the town of Wareham, we are pleased to accept $5,000 donation to the Wareham Free Library for the purchase of books and other materials, and we thank you very much, and I move we approve that as well.
Okay, I need a second for both motions.
Tony.
Second.
Motion from Patrick and Tony for both motions.
Yep.
Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Next would be any other business not reasonably anticipated in the
Tony?
last 48 hours.
Mary? Peter?
None.
Patrick?
No, I have nothing. Town administrators report, obviously not.
Not here.
Next would be liaison reports.
Tony, anything?
No.
Mary?
Nope.
Things are going okay.
Peter?
Just a little bit from the redevelopment authority meeting earlier this evening. We're going to be pursuing the Massachusetts Cultural Facilities Fund grant once again. We tried for a matching $200,000 grant last year, and were denied, but we've got more things going on out there. I think we can show more engagement, both public and private, at the site, and hopefully that'll carry the day. I really don't want to lose to the Boston Symphony again.
Yeah. Patrick?
Yeah, I had one thing. I went to the what do you call it?
Wednesday?
The drop-in center?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was the first night that the hospital had somebody there, people. And it was terrific. I mean, the people that were there and the booths that were there and everything was awesome, okay? Not a lot of people showed up, but it was, you know, it is what it is, and if they help 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 along the way, it's a good thing. But I was interesting, so I'm sitting there talking to the woman from South Coast, one of the people from South Coast, and I'm having this conversation and so on and so forth, and don't really know who she is, but I finally get to ask, well, you know, what do you do at the hospital? She says, oh, I'm one of the trauma surgeons. It's like, they sent a trauma surgeon. So, you know, obviously, they're volunteering to do this, and they must think it's serious enough to show up, and I thought that was awesome, to have somebody of, you know, talk about understanding the problem and sending the people that need to be there, you know what I mean? I mean, just absolutely awesome, and it was good to see them there, and I'm so glad they got involved in that project, and everybody should be really proud of what they're doing over there, because, you know, it's really helping people for real on the ground, and I really thanked every one of them. I went around to every group, and I thanked them all personally as for us, and I thought you wouldn't mind if I did that.
Of course not.
So that's what I did, and that's what I have to say for now.
All right. There'll be an announcement tomorrow on a new bill from the governor on the housing choice program.
Does it include mobile homes?
No, it does not include the clarification of what's considered an affordable housing still. We're still banging away at that, but we haven't got traction yet on that per se. There are 2 bills I mentioned before that our state rep has put in, which directly goes after what is considered an affordable housing unit, which is basically an attempt to not do what's been done for the last 10, 12 years, because that particular bill for taking mobile homes and counting them as affordable goes into the House and Senate and goes into what I call the rotary file. They see it, they already know what it is, and they just bypass it because there's no support. This bill takes a whole different tack, the 2 of them, and goes at it a whole different direction. And this is what I discussed with some other people about trying a different approach to this. So we'll see how this goes. We'll keep after it, and I'll keep pushing on it. I'm hoping the MMA, they've said they'll support us as well, so I'm hoping that something happens there. I think that's really all. There's some other things happening in town, but we'll see how they all go.
All right, so next would be the consent agenda, February 19th minutes. I move we approve them as written. Everybody was here.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0.
That's all I have tonight. I move we adjourn.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Wareham.
Thank you.